Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life is the title of my talk today. Jesus says in the gospel, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. All those people who believe in God love having confidence in being with God forever. Jesus is giving this comforting assurance to people which no one was able to do before. He is saying that He is the way and able to take people to heaven for eternity. Jesus is not speaking here like a prophet who says, if you do this or do that, you may be able to go to heaven. He is saying that He Himself is the way to heaven. Anyone who puts his faith in Him will absolutely enter heaven. So Jesus is not like prophets who just describe the way to their followers, but were not able to do more than that. He instead manifested His ascendance to heaven. His disciples and hundreds of others saw Him ascending to heaven from this life and believed in Him, who said that He would take His followers to heaven where He Himself is. Therefore, Jesus is the way. You and I need to put our trust in Him if we want to have access to heaven and God and be eternally saved. Do you know that anyone who wants to give us good news must himself be the example of that good news? The Prophet of Islam said that you may go to heaven, but he himself was not sure of going to heaven, nor was he able to demonstrate the ascendance to heaven as Jesus did. After Muhammad died, his followers delayed the burial, believing that he did not deserve to be buried under the dust. They expected his ascendance to heaven like Jesus. It did not happen. And as a result, one of his successors convinced the multitude that Muhammad was just like them and had to experience death like them. In other words, he was not like Jesus, who was able to rise from the dead and ascend into heaven. No one is like Jesus. He defeated death and now is sitting on the throne of heaven and able to make you and I heavenly if we decide to follow Him. Jesus also said that He is the truth. We will not be able to understand this claim of Jesus unless we understand what truth is. Truth is the illustration of things as they are. It never tolerates a false image of things. For example, the truth describes God as someone who does not lie or deceive because He is just and holy by nature. Jesus and His gospel never call God a liar or deceiver. But Muhammad in his Quran says that God is the best of deceivers and sanctions lying under some circumstances. I have already given references from the Quran in the previous talks that lying and deception are accepted as ethical for the advancement of Islam. In Islam, you can give false testimony to destroy the life of one opponent or a non-Muslim. These are absolutely forbidden in the gospel of Jesus Christ. You are not allowed to tell a lie or give a false witness against anyone, including your enemy, because the truth never promotes untruth. The gospel in the book of James, chapter 3, verses 10 to 12 says, "Out of the same mouth should not proceed blessing and cursing. Does a fountain send forth at the same hole the sweet and the bitter? Can the fig tree, my brothers, bear olive berries, or a wine figs? So no fountain can yield both salt water and fresh." In a similar way, if the truth is the fountain in our hearts, our tongues must therefore speak the truth. But if we lie or deceive, it means that evil is the fountain of our hearts, not the truth. The lips of God also speaks from His heart. His heart is the place of absolute truth. There is not any essence of lying or deception in God's heart. And for this reason, He never lies, nor deceives, nor instructs anyone to lie or deceive. Therefore, any prophet or religion that attributes lying and deception to God, no matter for what reason, cannot be of God and of the truth. The life of Jesus Christ on earth was the perfect revelation of God's truth without any lying and deception. His gospel also rejects any kind of lie and deception, even the convenient ones. Therefore, Jesus is right in his claim when he says that he is the truth. He does not attribute any lie and deception to God, never encourages anyone to lie or deceive, and there is no lie nor deception in his words and actions. He is the source of truth, and his truthful life on earth is the very reason for us to trust him now and forever. Jesus also said that he is the life. The gospel says in the book of John, chapter 1, verse 4, that in Jesus is life, and the life is the light of men. His life is such a life that gives eternal life, reflects the heavenly light to people, and leads them to heaven. Jesus speaks in the gospel in the book of John, chapter 5, verse 24. Truly, truly I say to you, an hour is coming, and is now here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. Jesus raised the dead and touched the heart of those who were alive and gave them eternal life. He proved his claim amongst people that he was the life giver. The work of Christ is not only guiding people like a prophet, but also cleaning their hearts from sins, renewing their hearts and giving them eternal life first, and then guiding them in truth, holiness, righteousness, peace, and love. A heart cannot be guided if it is not cleansed and renewed first. Also, no one can clean and renew a heart and guide it in truth unless he himself is the life and the source of life. Jesus is that person. As the life and the source of life, he is the giver of life. So Jesus is the way to heaven. He is the only way to reveal God and make him accessible in our daily lives. In the way of Jesus Christ, there is not any curtain between God and people. In him, people can be with God, talk to or hear his voice directly, and unite with him. But the Quran in Surah Shura, verse 51 says that there is a curtain between Muhammad and his God. And the God in Islam never speaks to anyone directly. It is here that you need to allow your conscience to make a right decision between the ways of Muhammad and Jesus. Muhammad taught that in his path to God, there will be always a curtain between him and God. But such a barrier does not exist in the path of Jesus. Therefore, Jesus is the right way to heaven. Secondly, Jesus is already in heaven, but Muhammad is not according to the Quran. It is clearly obvious that the one who is in heaven can be the right guide and way to heaven. Thirdly, only heavenly men and women can be with God and have access to him. If you follow Jesus, you also become heavenly like him and can be with God forever. Therefore, Jesus Christ is the hope to make God known to Muslims and to all. Jesus is the hope to unite Muslims with God. Jesus is the only hope for Muslims to overcome Satan and become free on Judgment Day. Jesus is the hope to make Muslims heavenly. Put your trust in Jesus and receive the eternal joy of salvation. Thank you so much for your patience all the way from the beginning of my talks to the end. I hope and pray that they were and will become helpful. God bless you.